let's move along to the thing that really irked my nerves. I know this isn't Wisconsin sports related, but we'll bring it full circle in terms of whether or not this could be the Eastern Conference Finals preview with Bucks and Nets. Just really quickly, just touch on, like, we saw what happened over the weekend. They got LaMarcus Aldridge. They already had Blake Griffin after he signed over there. What is going on with the Brooklyn Nets? And is there any chance, first of all, what was your reaction when Aldridge went to the Nets? And then, is there any chance anybody will beat them if they're all healthy? Kyrie, James, Kevin Durant, Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan. The list goes on and on. Jeff Green.
So my initial thought was how, because these are they're obviously not what they were in their prime. I wouldn't say they're washed, but
it's not the same.
They're getting up there in age. They're not as good as they were in their prime. They're still very solid basketball players who, I would have thought could, I would say $10 million a year would be a decent deal for those two, Griffin and Aldridge. And then, I looked at their cap hits, and I guess that's just how it works with buyouts. Blake Griffin's cap hit is $800,000. Aldridge's is $555,000. That's kind of ridiculous to me that after
well, they're signing for the mid-level exception or something.
I guess you get all that guaranteed money and you're like, hey, I already got my salary for the season. I can.
And it's just 1 year too. What I mean?
But what I don't understand is I did see this. I forgot who said this, but I think I saw this on Twitter, and it's people are hating on KD for putting a super team together, but it's they don't have to sign there. The Aldridge and Griffin decided to go to the Nets. So I don't understand the criticism for KD in the situation. And Steve Nash said this. He's just what are we supposed to do? Not try and improve? I agree with that. If I'm the Bucks and we got Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm not going to say oh, hey, Giannis is trying to put together a super team. We would obviously never say that. And I would say that Nets fans probably aren't complaining about it. And it does, kind of suck because it's going to make it hard for any other team out East to make it out of the East, because the Nets have a very good, great, fantastic roster put together with the additions of Griffin and Aldridge. But it's also people are saying, oh, they're putting a super team together. And then Blake Griffin tweeted this out. And it was hey, I've been hearing that I've been trash and washed for the last 2-3 years, but now I join a team and it's a super team now. I agree with that. You're calling this man trash, garbage, and now his addition makes this a super team? Come on now. I think even before they got there, I think it was a super team. You have 3 of the top 20 players in the league on the same team. That's a super team right there. They just added 2 very good pieces and just added on to it. It was a super team before, and they didn't lose anyone, so it's still a super team now. I think the one thing that I do have a problem with it is the tampering rule. And I'm going to touch more upon this with the Lakers, but it needs to be defined better. It's you cannot tell me that when the Nets heard that Blake Griffin and Aldridge were going to be bought out, or you cannot tell me team members of the Nets didn't reach out to.
No, it's been reported that they were hard recruiting him. Drummond too, and the Lakers.
And that's tampering.
Yeah.
You completely veto the Bucks trade for Bogdanovich, and then take away draft capital from the Bucks for a trade that was released by Woj, who should not have even done that. And then you say nothing when stuff like this happens. I don't care that the Nets got them. Cool. But it needs to be investigated. Hey, how long were they being recruited? And you can say, oh, hey, the players aren't under the rule of tampering. Yes, they are. The actual tampering rule is that teams, players, or coaches cannot approach or lure players on rival teams when they are bound by contracts with their respective teams. I don't know how that works with buyouts. I am not an NBA lawyer. But as just a fan of the league, that would suggest to me that I cannot, if I'm a player, I cannot be, hey, Blake, you should come to the Nets when you're bought out. Where does that fall in the tampering lines? Like, what is that considered? Is that considered recruiting? I don't know. Like, they got them. That's fine with me. I just think that the tampering rule needs to be defined better and needs to be more consistent.
Look, before I go off on this, Kevin Durant, the reason why you said, Steve Nash said, what are we supposed to do? Blake Griffin said, you guys were calling me trash. No one has a problem with any of that. All right. Steve Nash is a first-year head coach. He's, two-time MVP. He has nothing to prove. Blake Griffin. What do you think of when you think of Blake Griffin?
I think of that incredible Clippers team that never got over the hump.
Right, and a dunker, an athletic dunker who's lost a step athletically, but is still a solid player.
He dunked the other night.
Of course he did. Yeah, I'm sure. Just so conveniently, all of a sudden now is dunking.
First time in I think like 2 years he dunked.
Right, and where was he those 2 years? In Detroit. Okay. People were saying that you're trash. It's because you probably were trash. Okay. The first year in Detroit, however, though, he was pretty solid. He improved his 3-point percentage and all that. Look, the problem I have and a lot of other people have is with Kevin freaking Durant, dude. You are probably the best scorer we've ever seen in the NBA's history. You are 7 feet tall with a 9-foot wingspan. It can pull up from 30. Okay, you shoot 50, 40, 90 from the floor in your sleep. And you had a team down 3-1 in 2016. And what did you do? You played like garbage to let that team come back on you. And then after they came back on you, Draymond, they lose. The Warriors lose to the Cavaliers in the finals. Draymond cries on his phone, please, Kevin Durant, please come here. We need you. So you leave your running mate, Russell Westbrook. Almost called him Russell Wilson. Russell Westbrook, who you cried in your MVP speech was your brother, and you'd do anything for him, and everybody gets him wrong, and you would, do anything to defend his honor and will. What do? You leave that. You leave your great team, which Andre Iguodala, your favorite player, said that Thunder team was more talented than we were. They lose after a 3-1 lead to the Warriors. Kevin Durant says, you know what? I'm going to go join them. Yeah, I'm going to go join the 73-9 team because, since they also choked a 3-1 lead, that makes it okay. So from that point forward, what does everyone call Kevin Durant?
Snake.
A snake, which I have, since he left Golden State, backed off a little bit. I was the front runner for that name because it fit him. That is, not only does he leave, he doesn't tell Russell Westbrook after giving the sob story speech for the MVP and saying how close they were and everything. Come to find out they weren't that close. Okay, so everybody knows Kevin Durant as the guy who needs to have a stacked deck to win against LeBron, to beat LeBron James. Let's call it what it is. That's why he had to do it. That's why he always is in the opposite conference as well. Okay. Kevin Durant gets hurt in 2019. He goes and signs with Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving. What are the storylines heading into this year? This will be the year that Kevin Durant finally either proves or doesn't prove that he can lead a team on his own. And to his credit, he was my MVP for the first month or two of the season. The dude was lighting it up. Okay, he was averaging 30, 8 rebounds, 5 assists or whatever, shooting damn near 50, 40, 90 from the floor and leading that team. The issue, Napo, is not with everybody else. I don't blame Aldridge for wanting to go there. I don't blame Blake Griffin for wanting to go there or James Harden. First of all, it's New York City. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Okay, you live closer to there than I do. You've probably been there or at least close in the area before. It's got to be better than Detroit. It's got to be better than, no offense, San Antonio. It's got to be. Okay, I'm sure they're both cool cities, but come on. We're talking about the Mecca here, okay? Let's just call it what it is. So I don't blame them. Everybody's blaming Kevin Durant because once again, you've got to stack the deck again. You could say he's doing it to beat, just get out of the East. They would have gotten out of the East with just him and Kyrie. You probably disagree. I was stomping from day one on that they were good enough right away to beat Milwaukee. We saw Milwaukee lose to Toronto with 1 star, Miami with no star, really. I mean, Jimmy Butler was a beast, but I don't know that he's an all-star or superstar, rather.
In that playoff.
In the bubble, yes, he was very good. He almost Kawhi Leonard run, actually, ironically enough.
Didn't he have 2 40-point games against the Bucks in that series?
Dude was nuts. My point is that they were good enough. And look, teams should always try to get better. But does that mean you should try to competitively stack the deck so no one else can beat you? You said it yourself, 3 of the best top 20 players. I would argue they have the 3 greatest ISO scorers ever. You could say Allen Iverson. You could say, I think that's really it. You could say Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, but I'm taking Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden as my best 3 ISO scorers ever. Maybe Kobe Bryant. I'm not sure. But Kyrie is a better shooter, and James Harden definitely has to be in there. Kevin Durant, where can he not score from? Who can he not score over? So their team was already ridiculous, and I was okay with the James Harden move. They had to give up some pieces to get him. They gave up a Jared Allen. They gave up a Karis LeVert. They gave up picks. So I was okay with that. But now you go and you add Blake Griffin, who, will have some magical resurgence in his career, I guarantee it. LaMarcus, because guess what? When you're playing for Detroit and you're 9-25 or whatever, yeah, it's the same thing we said about PJ Tucker, I was arguing with you about before. When you're on a terrible team, yes, you play worse. Why am I going to ball out for a team that's just going to lose? You know what I mean? I'm going to try to get my way out of there. I'm not going to get my way out of there by playing great. It's just not the makeup of the NBA these days. So my issue, man, was not with anybody going there. It's with Kevin Durant, what's next? Are we just going to get Jesus himself to play on a team? I mean, come on, leave some competitive balance. My question to you was, is anybody else going to beat them? No, they're not. As long as they're healthy and they don't have a personality meltdown and Kyrie Irving shows up. I mean, everybody wants to point to, they can't play defense. They're still 26th overall in points, but in the month of March, they're 14th. And they've actually moved up to 26 from 32, and that's a big jump considering they were on pace to be the worst defense in history, okay? So,
not the best offense, though.
Not the best offense, though, but that's been without Durant. Without Durant. Durant has missed a ton of games, okay? And then you look at the landscape as far as who can beat them. The Lakers are beat up. Do you trust Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in the playoffs? Playoff P, way off P. I trust
Kawhi.
I don't even trust Kawhi that much. I think that's a whole nother discussion, but Kawhi is not what we thought he was. We're going to find out, but he's not exactly. We thought he was LeBron. We thought he was going to go to the Clippers and save them, and he hasn't done it so far. We'll see what he does this year. It's a big year for him. Do you trust Utah?
They have defenders. They
have defenders. I'm not sure I trust them though. I need more than defenders. Donovan Mitchell, this is a huge year for him. By the way, ever since Shaq, I know I love Donovan Mitchell. I love me some Donovan Mitchell. And ever since Shaq called him out on the post-game press conference or whatever, or interview on TNT, he's been terrific. Ever since then, when he's like, yeah, I don't think he can do it or whatever. And he's been great. I don't trust Denver either. Denver is great, but everybody wants to, award them the championship after getting Aaron Gordon. Like, I need to see what Aaron Gordon is, man. He's been in Orlando. Admittedly, I haven't watched a single game of his. Like, do you watch Orlando? They got some of the worst jerseys in the league. I've been to an Orlando Magic game in Orlando. Cool stadium. Love the stadium. Amway or whatever it's called. Fantastic stadium. But, you know, besides that, it's probably the only time I've ever seen Aaron Gordon play. So, the Nets if I had to bet, you know, my house on it right now, I'm betting on the Nets to win the title. If I'm telling you what, this is unrelated, but if LeBron wins this year and he beats that team, we had that Michael Jordan versus LeBron GOAT debate.
Is he your GOAT?
It's over. Yeah, it's over. If he beats that, come on. I mean, Jordan never beat a team anywhere near as talented as that. So if he beats them, you know, it's over for me. But you know, that's just how I feel about that. But really quickly, I know we didn't necessarily plan on doing this. If you can, give me your top 5 NBA MVP board quick. Off the top of the dome.
Okay. Jokic is still number 1 for me. Giannis is probably 2. Let's see. I want to be able to put Embiid and LeBron in there, but I think the injury has to take them off the top 5. Well, that is a tough one right off the dome.
I put you on the spot, so
I could probably do no particular order, because I mean my top 2 I think are good, but then my next 3 I think in no particular order. I do think Harden should be in the top 5 conversation.
Yep.
I get that he's on this Nets super team, but Kyrie and Kane have barely played.
Yep.
The dude is averaging like what? 28 and
26, 9, and 11 and a half.
He deserves to be in the top 5 MVP conversations. I'm trying to go through all the other top teams.
Damien Lillard.
Oh, Dame and Steph. Okay, that's done. That's my top 5.
All right. Number 5. Number 5, I'm gonna go Steph Curry. Okay. Number 4, Jokic.
Okay.
Look, I'm not as sold on Jokic as everybody else is. I think people are really underestimating how much help he has on that team. Like, when you compare who everybody else has on the list on their team, I just don't think it's comparable. Like, and I don't know. I've got him 4th. 3rd is Giannis. Okay, Giannis, what he's done with the Bucks, terrific stuff. But again, he's got a good supporting cast, but he's been terrific. So he's number 3. Damian Lillard is number 2. 30 points, 4 rebounds, 7+ assists, 45%, 38 from 3, 94% shooting from the free throw line. You put him there, he makes it. 15 and 10 in the 25 games that he's played without McCollum or Nurkic. And they're 6th in the West, 27-18 record. Pretty much the same as Denver, except Dame's doing it with way less help. Way less help. Okay, look, the Nuggets were struggling, dude, when Jamal Murray was struggling. Anybody else notice the Nuggets started doing well as soon as Jamal Murray stepped his game up? Okay, Jokic has been doing this, and they were struggling, man. They were a 500 team. So I'm just putting that out there. And number 1 is James Harden. James Harden is ridiculous, man. All right. Like I said, 26, 9, and 11. Almost shooting 50-40-90 from the floor. Since he's been there, they're 24 and 9. And 22 of those games have been without Durant. So that's wild. So, I mean, I've got him number 1. He's terrific, man. And, you know, we'll see going on the stretch. I had to keep LeBron. I had to keep Embiid both out of it because of their injuries, you know. And Curry was almost out of it as well because of his injury with his buttocks bone or whatever, his tailbone. So we'll see about that. But